Casting on with your ribber can be intimidating. Have you ever followed the instructions on your machine and not really been happy with the results? Maybe you've learned some other techniques, but gosh, there were just so many steps to remember that every time you sit down, you just have lost it. Here's an easy to remember cast on that's not only fast, but it's versatile and it can be used for 1x1, 2x2, 5x5, or any stitch combination. In addition, it has plenty of elasticity for armholes and neck bands anywhere you want stretch. Get started by setting your main carriage with the ribber connector in place on the right side of your bed. The ribber itself is down, it's in out of work position, and the ribber carriage is on the left. On the main bed, pull out the number of needles you need for your garment. Now just ignore that ribber for now. The ribber needles are also, everything's out of work. Starting at the left, do a simple E-wrap cast on across all those main bed needles. With your carriage set for plain knitting, and set at garment tension, knit one row from right to left. Now you'll notice that the stitches are really loose. We'll talk about this later, but they should be fine. Just check to make sure that all the stitches are knit properly. Using your double-eye needle, carefully transfer every other stitch down to the ribber. We're showing a 1x1 rib, but you can set up any needle arrangement right here. Now that the stitches are transferred, I've pulled the ribber stitches down so that they're secure in the hooks of those ribber needles. We'll put some weight on our knitting before we go any further and insert the ribber comb up between the beds. Now be careful that you don't split the stitches or split the yarn. I found that shifting the half pitch lever helps. Just don't forget to shift it back. You can also try bringing out the main bed needles a bit so the teeth of the ribber comb can easily slip between the stitches. Insert the wire in the comb. Pull back on the needles of the main bed and drop the comb so it rests on those zigzag stitches between the two beds. Hang some weights and you're ready to start knitting your ribbing. That was fast, huh? To make the first row easier to knit, pull all of the working needles on both beds all the way out and make sure the latches are open. Knit across the row, letting the machine place all those needles back in working position, and continue to knit your ribbing. Look closely because there is a right and a wrong side to this cast on. Let's work this cast on again. After your first cast on row on the main bed, the stitches were really pretty loose. There's no weight on the knitting, and with some yarns this can be problematic. You can avoid problems by starting your cast on with waste yarn and ravel cord, and then continuing the technique as you just saw. Here I'm hanging the ribber comb on waste yarn. This eliminates the struggle of hanging it between the beds and adds weight right away. I'll knit a little bit of waste yarn, a row of ravel cord, and then do my E-wrap cast on the main bed and continue by transferring stitches down to the ribber just like before. Okay, this was supposed to be an easy cast on, but adding a few steps with scrap and ravel might help in the long run. Thank you for watching. The KnitinNow Learning Library has hundreds of tutorials on a variety of topics at all skill levels. Please consider becoming a subscriber and join the KnitinNow community. Happy knitting!